Now, because of his desire to become governor, Mr. Shyu is running against his principal, Governor Godwin Obaseki, who is reportedly trying to select a different candidate to take over as governor. Shyu took Obaseki and the State House of Assembly to court during the height of the crisis, requesting an injunction to prevent them from impeaching him. This morning, we're joined by Barrister Andrew Emwanta, who will be joining us to discuss this. He's a constitutional lawyer and a former commissioner for communication and orientation, Edo State. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
Is it uhuru, like they say, or can we finally say that indeed the storm is over and it's time for the people of Edo State to rejoice because the drama between the governor and his deputy has been, put behind bars and governorship can now take the center stage?
Yeah, thank you. As we will say, the chicken has finally come home to roost. The tussle between the governor and his deputy that has raged for months have finally come to a head, because this was the worst nightmare of the governor, that his deputy will run for governor as against his plan of bringing his friend and business partner, Aswa, who is now reaching out to leaders, begging them to support him. And I think this is the time that in politics, as they say, the boys will be separated from the men. You saw what Shyu said yesterday. He was able to reel out his achievements from the time he was in the House of Assembly up to when he became deputy governor. And he raised an alarm yesterday that the governor, because of his declaration yesterday, has given a directive that all the vehicles in his convoy should not be given petrol. And how do you expect a deputy governor to run his office? The deputy governor, during his interview on Arise, also complained that for the past 5 months, the governor has stopped allocations to his office. So how do you expect a man? You were elected on the same platform. The way you are governor, that's how he's deputy governor. It is taxpayers' money we'll use in taking care of both of you. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, Sahara Reports issued a statement that the Edo State governor has spent 973.4 million on bank charges, almost $1 billion naira. And the question I will ask, which bank charges? What is the name of the bank? And I'll give you information because I've served in that government. Sterling Bank runs all Edo State government accounts. And who is the chairman of Sterling Bank? Aswa Ighodalo, the person the governor is supporting for governor. And I wonder what the EFCC is doing. What kind of country do we have? You spend almost $1 billion on bank charges when you have Edo people living below poverty line, when you have civil servants yearning for a common minimum wage, not even a living wage. We have lecturers, professors in our state university. For over a year, some of them have not been paid. The governor runs the university with a group of technocrats he calls Special Intervention Team. The university has not had a governing council for the past 3 years. I mean, Edo State is in crisis. So it's a case of state capture. And I'm happy that candidates or aspirants like Philip Shyu have come to the rescue. And I tell you that the election will be for Edo people to decide. And mind you, we have a generation called Generation X, which I belong to. Those of us born between 1965 and 1980. All these old men in Obaseki's generation should take notice, because we're going to take back our states. And Edo State will not be captured by any group of technocrats, whether from Lagos, Pakistan, or Palestine. We are ready for this election.
Well, I don't know, how that played out in 2019, but let me ask about Philip Shyu himself. You spoke about him reeling out his achievements. In what ways do you think, because he's been part and parcel of the government, he can claim now that Obaseki has been bullying him and he refused to give him water to drink, and well, you can say all these things now, but doesn't make him not a part of the government. He has been a part of the government. And if you argue that the government has failed and the government hasn't done anything, he cannot exclude. Do you think he can exclude himself from the failure of the current Edo State government? Simply, and let me add this, simply by saying that the governor has not been his friend, and they've locked him out of his office, and they refused to give him his allocation, and they didn't these things that he keeps mentioning. Is that going to be good enough for you to say, okay, well, he would be excluded from the blame in the last 4 years in running Edo State?
As a constitutional lawyer, I know what you call the principle of collective responsibility. All these problems that the Obaseki government has created, Shyu cannot exclude himself from it. Having said that, who is the governor of Edo State? Godwin Obaseki. The buck stops at his table, just the way Harry Truman said when he was president. He said the buck stops here. But again, Philip Shyu in his declaration was able to identify the intervention that he has made in the area of sports, in the area of revenue generation. I remember it was the same Philip Shyu, I think sometime between March and April this year, there is an alarm that during that particular period, the period of 1 month, the entire local government of the state raised a pass-through revenue of 3 million naira. Only one local government, which is my local government, Edo, raised 1 million. The entire 17 other local governments raised 2 million because this money goes into private pockets. When he raised that alarm, I think it is one of the reasons why the governor went after him. There's so much of corruption in this government. And I said it earlier, it's a case of state capture. You have a government that has invested over 50 billion naira on internet in the name of civil service transformation. We have very bad roads in Edo State. You cannot move freely in Edo State. They said they have a power plant that at times for 2 weeks, this power plant does not work. But yet they collect money in the name of service charges from subscribers of that particular power plant. So we have a government that has made promises. First, they said they will build an airport in Edo North. Nothing has been said about that again. They said he will build a seaport in Gelegele, Edo South. Nothing has been said about it. So much of taxpayers' money has gone into this project. Oh, the next thing they are saying now is they want to build a Radisson hotel. Is that the priority of Edo people? Is that the priority of Edo government? At the time when we have bad roads, at the time that we don't have good institutions like schools, most of the buildings are dilapidated. There was a video that went viral of primary school children sitting on the floor. I mean, this is a government that has failed. And I dare say that it is a collective responsibility. We cannot exclude Shyu from it, but he has a right to aspire.
He definitely does. No one is taking away his right to aspire. I mean, I 100% agree with that. But where I'm speaking from, is a place where I have seen Edo State since Lucky Gbenedion's days, and I've seen the level of development or no development that has existed in Edo State in the last long while. And many people would argue that Edo State deserves better. At least for once, let it get some level of governance that we can say, okay, yes, we've seen some level of development. Bowo, and all the way down to the outskirts of the city. So it's interesting, to see that after 8 years of Godwin Obaseki, the very best option, the one when you say separating the men from the boys, the very best, that is separating men from the boys is Philip Shyu. Dennis Society, we had him sometime early this week. He's a colleague of yours. And he argued that, Obaseki had done, very, very well. He argued, of course, that there had been a lot of work done infrastructure-wise. And he also spoke about, this power plant that you just condemned now. So, we maybe should be able to set up, conversation between both of you so that we can understand exactly the achievements of, the Obaseki administration and who's, being honest or not. But if in your honest opinion, would you say Edo State deserves a lot better than what it has currently experienced and, what it currently has, and I mean, amongst all the candidates?
Yes, thank you. I've said this just to set the ground for a conversation that revolves around how has the PDP government fared in Edo State. I was once in that party. They refused to develop my local government, Igor. Bad roads, a good network of bad roads in Igor local government. Ebotubu Road, Mechanic Road, I mean, just name it. The only achievement the governor and his government, and I will not exclude Philip Shyu from this government because he's part and parcel of that government, are street lights. Those are the only things they've commissioned since we elected them in 2020. And again, I must confess that I'm not impressed. The government has failed completely. I'm only saying that the deputy governor has his right to aspire. And the thing is, we are even praying because if he's a candidate of PDP, he's not going to meet with the candidate of my party, the APC. And I tell you that the APC appears to be more organized. Though we have Labour Party, but they are enmeshed in all manners of shenanigans. But as I speak, APC is the party to beat in Edo State. And I tell you that we are one party that has what it takes Both Obaseki and Shaibu left our party in 2020. They gave our platform to PDP. And between 2020 to date, the government has failed woefully. When you look at the monies they have collected, it does not translate to the dividends that people should get. You mentioned Dennis Osarogie. He has never served in government before, though he's an agent of the Edo State government. But I have served in government, and of all the people who have served in the Edo State government of Obaseki, I've been very vocal in speaking the truth. This one government that spent over 200 million to build a website. And as I speak, I cannot see that website anywhere. When we came in government, close to 2 billion naira was given to consultants. So do what? I mean, this is a government that is very corrupt. And I'll say it and I want to be quoted. And that's why the APC government, when we come on board next year, we are going to clean the audience table. Why is the governor supporting Aswa Ighodalo against his deputy? Bank charges. Bank charges. They've been collecting all kinds of money from the government in the name of bank charges. And you don't run a government like that. That's a case of state capture. And I say again, what is the EFCC doing? What is the ICPC doing? The issues the deputy governor have been raising are issues of corruption, which nobody can exclude him from. But he has a right to aspire, and that's what we have always maintained.
Okay.
Allow people who have aspiration to breathe, allow them to run for public office. That office does not belong to Governor Obaseki. It is Edo people that will decide who will be their next governor. And that is why my party, the APC, is the party to beat.
All right.
And come next year, a candidate under the APC platform will occupy Osarogie Avenue and will take Edo back to winning ways. We'll take Edo back to the days of Ogbomodia and Ali when we had great development, and not these theory government, as the deputy governor noted. We will bring practical governance to Osarogie Avenue.
All right, let's talk about the strength of Obaseki's influence, Shaibu's influence in Edo State. Of course, he recently talked about beating Obaseki's anointed candidate. I'm talking about him beating his anointed candidate, not because he's more powerful, but because Edo people love him. Now, putting sentiments aside, how much influence would you say he's garnered in the state? And would you say that he's garnered enough influence that people believe in him enough to be able to deliver the mandate that the Edo people would want?
Yeah, thank you. You know, the deputy governor is a sportsman, and he has made a whole lot of interventions in that government, particularly in the area of sports. And you know, that is what attracts a whole lot of middle-aged people. And in terms of his support base, he has a very strong support base within the PDP. And mind you, there are two factions in the PDP, the governor's faction, where you have just one member of the state executive, the party chairman, who operates like a glorified aide to the governor. Then the rest members of the state working committee of the PDP are with the South-South Vice Chairman, Chief Danobi. And that is the group the deputy governor belongs to. And that is the group who gave Obaseki their platform in 2020. And mind you, the governor contested against 3 persons in 2020 who stepped down for him. Ogbede Ihama, who is still in the PDP, Kenny Masagwa, who has left the party out of the kind of frustration received from the governor, then Engineer Gideon Ikine, who is now in my party, the APC. So when you look at the arrangement, you discover that the group the deputy governor belongs to have the upper hand. They have more ESCO members, they have more of the local government chapter chairman with them. When the governor was to join the party in 2020, his own ward chairman rejected him. They refused to give him a membership card. The person the government is sponsoring, it was just last month he joined the PDP. And as we speak, his name is not on the membership register. So if we say politics is local, it is those that we call the homeboys that will carry the day. And that is what the deputy governor was saying, is a homeboy. In the APC, we have about 7 homeboys who are running for the office of governor. These are not people who have lived all their lives in Lagos, who come whenever there's political activities and try to masquerade. We have many homeboys in my party, the APC, and I assure you to be a very interesting election come next year, because Edo people will want to choose between darkness and light, between the failed government of Obaseki and a government of promise that will fix all our roads, will put our educational institutions in proper shape, will not be corrupt, will not be taking as much as 900 and something million naira for bank charges, and will bring back the lost glory of our states. We must take back our states.
I don't know if the APC, generally has that much fan base, in Edo State, currently. But we'll see how it goes. These are, things that will play out the way that they would play out. You seem to have issues with people who live in Lagos. Please, no vex for us. We'll be back home at some point, in our journey. But I want to, ask about Ize is he still an active member of the APC in Edo State? Is he do you expect that he will join the race at some point? That's one. And then the second question would be, I initially, earlier I was asking you about quality of leadership. I'm from Edo State. I would like to see the level of governance that actually inspires a better Edo State. And I'm not talking about someone who really is, like what you've said mostly about Philip Shyu is that, he's a sports person, and he has, support of, a couple of people, and but there's nothing inspiring. There's nothing inspiring that tells me that, with any of the people that, have been mentioned, because what we are seeing here is a repeated conversation about on who will win, who will be the winner, not necessarily the person who will offer the best to the people of Edo State. With regards healthcare, with infrastructure, with security, with, education, maternal and, child mortality. There's many things. Human Development Index, Edo State deserves a lot more. So can you quickly address these two things? With the candidates that you see around them, is there anyone that inspires a better Edo State? And then Pastor Ize.
Yeah, thank you. I'll start with Pastor Osarogie Ize. I think in 2020, he put out a good outing. And for me, I earlier mentioned that I come from a generation called Generation X. Yes. Those of us that were born between 1965 and 1980. And if you look at this age gap, we are very active in politics. We are very aware. We saw most of the military coups in this country. We knew where we were before and where we are now. I will not talk about Generation Y and the Gen Z generation, who at times gets hints from us. We are the ones that drag the two other generations. Generations before that, you have the likes of Obaseki and those from his own generation. So if you are above 60, I'm sorry to say you don't have any appeal to us, because we need people who are energetic. We need people who have worked at different levels, not those who say that this, but you have never really worked. Because we want a situation where our institutions are revived and revamped. It's not just to say you are a technocrat, but you must have lived with the people, understand the local economy. That's why knowledge of the local economy is very key. And that's one of the things that Ize has working for him. But I think it's above 60, and that for me is an issue, a very big issue. It's my very good friend, but we have to call a spade a spade. We have very young, vibrant people in my party, the APC, even in Edo Central. But that is not to say if somebody is above 60 and has the heart of somebody who's under 60, we will not support the person. But we don't want somebody that lacks capacity, because the 3 C's will play out as we move towards 2024. The 3 C's of character, capacity, and competence. And also we'll be very interested on your pedigree. We want to know, do you have corruption cases? Because we don't want somebody that will come and be collecting 900 something million for bank charges, or tell us that he wants to build a website with over 200 million, or you want to bring ShopRite. You have spent over 8 billion of the taxpayers' money, and you call it a PPP.
Mr. Emwanta, I see that we are focusing a lot on Obaseki's time in office and how his spending has been gone, as we should. This budget that was tagged, I'm going to quote what it is called. I'm trying to remember the name. The budget of resilience and transformation. This 2023 budget of resilience and transformation, there are, of course, a number of things there that maybe have been outrageous. But beyond the governors and those who are running for office, we understand that there are members of the House that need to approve this budget, that have a major role to play. So as we are pointing fingers to a certain person for having not spent adequately or have not spent with wisdom, we should also be pointing our fingers to those who are the members of representatives who should be able to approve these budgets and ensure that the right figures are put for the right things, taking in consideration the current state of living. Mr.
Can I quickly respond to that?
Okay, in 30 seconds, please.
We had 14 lawmakers who the governor prevented from sitting. Remember, this budget was not passed this year, it was passed before the election. So we had a rubber stamp of a House of Assembly of just 10 members that passed that budget. So I hope that the APC members and the Labour Party members in this present assembly, who recently raised an alarm that the governor from that other rubber stamp assembly got approval for 1.5 billion to buy vehicles for lawmakers, Prado Jeeps. But what did the governor buy? The governor bought, about bought only 10, Mitsubishi refurbished Tokumbo vehicles. Even the chief judge was supposed to get a brand new vehicle. He was given a refurbished vehicle. I mean, that's corruption.
Okay.
There's no way or better way to describe corruption.
And it's great that we've highlighted this.
To rise up to the occasion.
And it's great that we've highlighted this, Barrister Emwanta, because as we are advocating for, a better quality of leadership for the people of Edo State that they deserve, talking about governorship, we must also look at the members of the House. It's just all I'm saying. Thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, will have you again. There's more to look at when it comes to conversations in Edo State.
Thank you.
All right.